I'll take sounds you don't want to hear in the basement when the lights go out for 100, Alex. Hey everybody, welcome back to Mrs. RATTLECAN'S house. We have been on hiatus for a while because, well, the house hasn't really needed anything. We're kind of in living in the house mode instead of making the house a livable mode. But that's changed. If you have watched the channel from the get-go, we had a foundation crack that turned into a foundation leak that we were able to get on both sides of the crack and fix that. We basically re-cemented that crack. We sealed it. I've had zero issues out of it. But we had a storm the other night that deluged us with just a bit of rain, and I heard this noise, which does not make me happy. So, long story short, the rain subsided, the groundwater drained off eventually, the crack stopped, but it has never done this before. It has only been just the occasional dampness at the bottom of the wall there in the corner with the floor, and now, well, this is different. So we're gonna have to fix it. Now, this is on the front part of the house. I can't get to the front part of the house without Herculean efforts. So we are going to try something before we resort to that. There's a company just south of me in close to Cincinnati called Applied Technologies, and they make a peel-off paste epoxy concrete foundation crack repair kit, which I ordered this on a Friday. Their deadline for same-day shipping was 11. I ordered mine at 12:30, and it still got here the next day. So a huge thank you to them for getting that out to us as quick as they did. So let's open this up. We'll see what's in it, and then we've got some prep that we've got to do downstairs, and then we'll have at it. So here's the kit. It came to us by UPS. The package says weighs 9 pounds. We'll see what 9 pounds and a couple $100 gets us. This kit says that it will repair anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of up to 16th inch wide crack, which we're not 16th inch wide yet. So we've got an invoice, we have instrucciones, we have MSDS. It used to be called MSDS sheets. Now they're just safety data sheets. So we have 15 surface ports. Here's the port, and then here's the plug for the port. We have 10 corner ports, an instructional divida, ground cloth, aka plastic bag, a pair of safety goggles, a kit that contains gloves, epoxy mixer tube, an extension tube. We'll fit this on the end of these tubes to inject into the ports, and some wooden stir sticks, a wire brush. In case you don't have one, they include the caulk gun. We have tubes of the peel off port and crack seal adhesive. And we have 4 tubes of the ATEC 212 LV epoxy resin. Now I know there are people who will scoff at this, but read these instructions. Make sure you know what you're going to do. Make sure you know the order in which you're going to do it. I find it helps if you have a cat on the table. That's not really true. This is the upper portion of that video. It was leaking from this point downwards. I don't know if you can tell it or not in this video, but that has been repaired before. If you get it at the right angle, you can see there's a different color of white. There is also a different texture. According to the instructions, what we have to do is we have to get in there and we have to wire brush this. We have to get any kind of debris out of there. Now my wall is dry. There's no moistness. You have to ensure that because you want to make sure that this epoxy you're going to apply on top of it doesn't go anywhere when you force this this resin in. Now, as we look at this, the upper half of this, we have to get in and we have to clean this. So if I pull this to the side a little bit, this crack continues from here all the way up to the top. Part of the reason that may have contributed to this is, as originally built, there is a pipe that comes from the wall into the wall, travels up, and you can see this black curved tube at the top. That is how the electrical wire originally got into a flush mounted electrical box. But we replaced that, and so now what we've got to do is, this is the first thing that we're going to have to do, stand by, is we've got to cut the power to that box, and then we have to remove that box, and we can cover the crack with the epoxy so that it stays in the crack and doesn't all come squirting out of there like. So anyways, let's go find a breaker. All right, we got it on the first try. When we rewired this house, the way I did it, the outlets in a room are on a circuit that is different than the lights are in the room. When I turn the electrical power off to this, I still have lights. I can still see. So you can see this is just a small electrical box that was sunk in when they were building this. It was sunk in, and then there's a tube, that metal tube right here, that goes up directly behind this crack and then comes out of the top. Does this have anything to do with the crack? You know, one could suppose. All right, our instrucciones say that we need to place our first port within 4 inches of the end of this crack. We're going to mark this as our first port, and I've measured my hand. If I do the stretch out like that, that's about 7 inches. So I'm going to mark them just a little more than that. Your ports come with a little stopper on the end like that. So you just twist that off. And that way it can sit flat on the wall like that. And while my family makes a horrendous noise upstairs. We have the peel off epoxy, and one of the things they suggest that you do, we would call it a landing strip. So that way I have a surface. I can put my epoxy in here where it's supposed to go, and then out onto this duct tape, so that when we go to peel it off, I've got something to grab onto. All right. Now we're going to, this plug has a little there's 2 chambers inside here. We're now going to mix up They said 4 ounces. I don't know what in the world 4 ounces looks like. So we're going to start with this. We're just looking for a nice uniform gray color, no streaks. Now when we put this on here, we've got slots right there. So we're going to put a little dab in each one of those slots. But we want to make sure that we don't fill the hole up. And then you just work your way up, start from the bottom, work your way up, and hit them on those lines that you already marked out. Do not dally too long, because I can already feel this starting to set. Alright, here we go. We got to start from the bottom, work our way to the top. A 2-inch swath. And we mound it up above our injection port, because we do not want that port to come off. And we do not want our epoxy squirting out of it. So if you double glove, you can pull these off, and then you got clean gloves. Now we're going to go back and reinforce our injection ports that we have. Make sure that they're in there covered up well, and hopefully see if we can find any areas that are maybe suspect at leaking. And now we give it, 10-15 minutes. I guess it's time for fun and games. So the first thing that I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to squirt this all the way out. 2-part epoxy is now being mixed. And it's supposed to turn into a nice golden color, which I see. So now we just start the process. I do not like the way that fits. Wrong pocket. We're back a couple of days later, and the reason is I'm pretty sure that we hit some sort of a void because I've got two ports and they ate up an entire tube or of the epoxy in there. So once again, the folks down at Applied Technologies, they came through. I ordered this on a Monday morning, and within 15 minutes, confirmation of my order, got a shipping confirmation. And it was here the next day. I got 3 tubes. Hopefully we're not going to take 3 tubes, but anyways, we got them. So let's get to working. Now you can see I got kind of a blowout here. Could be too much pressure that I'm pushing through. Yeah, so that port, as far as I can tell, that port's done. I'm all out of epoxy. I thought we were all sealed up. That's probably, I'm not over it enough as far as the midline point. All right, so let me show you. This is an issue that I have. I've just now attached this port, and it does not want to let any of this in at all. I've checked the hole. You can actually see the wall through the hole there. This is the port below it that I can just keep feeding stuff into it. I find if you keep this paper, this little area between the papers open, this is the plunger here, so that you can see about how much you've got left to go. These two flowed okay. This one, I don't know if we're into a cavity again. I think that might be the case. Now, we've never had problems with water this high. All right, I've gotten all 3 of my tubes into this wall. This one flowed okay. This one flowed okay. This one, we put darn near a tube and a half just into this one port. This one was the same way. This one, I don't know what's going on here. I could get my tip in, and instantly you have back pressure on it. So I checked the hole. My hole was through. I could actually see the wall. So I'm not sure what was going on there. We couldn't get anything at all in there. And then we got a good decent amount up in here. I will have to say one thing. This interface, this mixing nozzle that goes on the end of your epoxy tube, and this is iffy. I don't like it one bit, because it's kind of hit or miss. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've had 5 of these tubes. I've had 2 of them where they slip in really nice and they connect up really well. The other 3, they didn't really work at all. I don't think this particular interface is worth it. You know, this part of it slides into that tube very nicely. This part of it slips on the cap with the ring nicely. But this thing here, I don't like that at all. We'll see. I mean, the application seems fairly straightforward. We'll peel it off tomorrow, and then we'll give you the final thoughts on it. In theory, this stuff is going to pull off of here. It tells you can hit them off with a hammer. So there, that part comes off okay. I can see where there is epoxy in some of these areas. I mean, if you look down in there, you can see kind of like a glint. And in some of these areas, this is filled in with actually this gray epoxy. So I'm not sure how much penetration I got on this. And, you know, to be honest, we're not really going to know until we get another, let's say, you know, another biblical type rain event. So, you know, the best I can say is, I guess we'll see. I would be interested to know where all of this stuff went. Because I've got, between these two ports, there's an entire tube of epoxy. So, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's six ports here, and there's 3 tubes of epoxy in here. I'd be interested to know where that goes. I don't know, because of this electrical tube that we've run behind there, if there is a void back there. So I think what we're going to have to do is we're just going to come in here with probably come in here with a grinder, an angle grinder, and try to get rid of this loose stuff. And then we'll put some crack repair cement over the top of this to fill in these parts of it. And then we'll see. So I wish I had a better outcome for you as far as does it work or does it not work, but you know, you're never really going to know until the next big deluge comes. So anyways, that is the second foundation crack repair we've done. If you haven't seen the first one, which was much more involved, I'll put a link here. So anyways, like I said, with spring coming, we have more projects to do here around Mrs. Rattlecan's house, and we'll start pumping out the content again with the sound of my cat scratching in his crap box in the background. You guys have a good one. Cheers.
If you enjoyed watching this episode of Mrs. Rattlecan's House, consider checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, and to get the latest updates on our progress, like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Perhaps we should have some wine.